Every time I talk about this, they start to freak out. Every time I speak about entities, everyone I say the word entities to begin to freak out. And that is because we've had stories coming from age-old myths and cultures that talk about entities such as ghosts, ghouls, jinns, and disembodied spirits. Why do you need to know about entities and how is this affecting your life? Let me tell you about that. Entity attachments are quite real, and I don't mean the possession kind of entity attachments where the entity displaces your own soul and takes over your physical body. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about entities that can attach themselves to the energy field around you, which is called your auric body. And when they attach themselves to this auric body, a lot of things can happen. One, you may feel stuck in a loop. Two, you may have addiction issues. Three, you may not be able to get over something like grief or anger, for example. And these energies that are attached to the auric field can help you feel heavier and not motivated enough to do the things that you want to do in life. So why is entity release so important? Well, entity release is very important because of these reasons that I just mentioned. Once you release these entities in your auric field, you will have more energy, more clarity, and the choices that you are going to make next will be from your own conscious mind and not the conscious mind that the entities were influencing so far. Are you with me? You haven't scrolled out? Good. So entity release is a very simple technique. This is nothing to do with black magic or the way people who perform such rituals perform entity release. It has nothing to do with a ritualistic approach to entities. Entities themselves are disembodied spirits, yes, but they're humans who have lost their physical bodies and are wandering about feeling clueless and helpless and hopeless. They don't know where they are or what has happened to them, and because of that, they either get into an angry mode or they get into a sad mode, and this sadness and anger, when it starts to increase, their energies become more and more denser, and when that happens, they kind of come across as these dark energies or dark entities harming or influencing people. The entities that I'm talking about just need someone to listen to them. They want someone to understand and tell them that they are lost and they can transition from the earth realm into the spirit realm. So my job is basically to help these entities transition from our realm, that is the earth realm, into the spirit realm. And when they get attached to the physical body, most of these entities are there attached to your physical body or your auric field because they want to either help you or protect you from something that they might have gone through in their human lives. So the entities are not all bad, but having them attached to your energy fields can be very draining. It almost feels like continuous exhaustion. You might feel heavy, you might feel brain fog, you may have addiction issues like I mentioned earlier. So it is important to release these entities for you to live a happier and more fulfilling life where all of your choices are yours and not influenced by anything outside of yourself. Does that make sense? So how does entity attachment happen? Well, entity attachment happens when your energy field or your auric field begins to shrink or contract due to many factors. One is fear. Fear is the most easiest way entities could attach themselves to you. I understand that it is kind of a catch-22 situation, especially when you are sensing an entity around you and you feel this fear inside of you. You cannot just switch on the switch where you just move from fear to just being brave, right? It's not possible, but it can happen when you practice. The more cognitive you become and you realize that, okay, I am sensing a presence around me, but I'm not going to give into my fear. I'm going to go into my power and tell them to move on from here. Remember that you being in the physical body, you have the maximum amount of power. The entities that are disembodied do not have power over your physical body, so they cannot really harm or threaten you in that manner. There are some cases where the entities gain strength enough to touch you or to probably scratch you, and those are extremely rare cases, and most often it is not just the disembodied bodies of humans, but there could be other energy sources that are attached to those entities. That is a completely different topic. But the most common entities that attach themselves to your auric field do so when your energies are very, very low. They feel depleted, or you've had a tragedy in your life where you've lost somebody, you've had a major accident, or you've gone through like a very bad breakup. If you're extremely sick or you've been visiting hospitals very often, then you have the tendency of attracting these entities to attach to your energy fields. It doesn't happen all of the time, but if you notice abnormal changes in your behavior, or people have been telling you that this is not how you are normally and things are not going the way you want them to go, even if you're trying real hard through therapy and through exercise and through all sorts of different things, you still feel like you're stuck in a loop, then there could be an energy that is influencing your behavior and your thought process. And it's time to let that energy go. And that is where I come in with entity release hypnosis. In the hypnosis process, unlike the other entity release sessions that most people tend to have, it is not ritualistic. It is a simple process of scanning your body to see where these entities are attached and negotiating or talking to these entities and releasing them. So the process is very, very simple. It is a process of deep, relaxed state. And when these entities come out and start talking to me, I'm able to talk to them and ask them to leave the entire physical and auric bodies so that the person who's coming to me for that session does not have their influence anymore in their life. And when these entities leave, they take all of that negative emotion with them, including any imprints or programming that they may have given you while they were attached to your body. So when these entities leave and release from your physical body, you feel extremely light. Initially, once the release happens, there may be a sense of exhaustion, and that is most common in most of my clients, because when you release something that you have been carrying for a very long time, your body tends to relax instantly. And when the body relaxes instantly, it might feel like exhaustion. It might feel like it needs more sleep, or it just needs to just be without doing anything. And that is your body integrating the changes of the entity that was released. So once the entity is released, we replace it with the energy of love, kindness, hope, whatever your body requires at that point. The guides who are present during the session will send this energy into your body, replacing the energy that the entity was depleting from you. And when this process is completed, you will feel more energized, more clear in your thought processes, and you will feel like you are finally able to step out of that loop that you're in. So the entity release process is a 4 hours process where 1 hour is spent on asking you questions about your life, where certain things had happened, if there were any incidences like accidents, deaths in the family, if there have been any sort of heartbreaks or surgeries or anything like that. And once I have a full and better understanding of your life, then we will go into the hypnosis process where you will be taken into a deep theta state and your mind begins to scan your auric fields and your physical body for any sort of sensations or feelings that could be happening at that moment in your body. And when you notice even the slight tingling sensation anywhere in your body, we then trap that energy in a white light net, because we are not just working alone. We are working with the Ascended Masters, the Archangels, and your higher self as well. So all of them come together and trap this energy in a white light net, and then we negotiate or talk to this entity and understand why it has attached itself to your physical body. And then we release that entity once and for all eternity. So it doesn't come back into your system or, create havoc, basically. So when we release this entity, where does the entity go? The entity goes into the source light and it transmutes itself into something good. So whenever we release this entity, it goes willingly. It doesn't go, fighting and struggling. That doesn't happen. It goes willingly, and once it goes willingly, we send it to the source light, and there we open a portal for it to go through that portal and to transform and transmute itself into something beautiful in the world. So when the portal closes behind the entity, all cords and connections to that entity are severed and cut for all eternity. So the influence of that particular entity will not damage you any longer. Yes, it is a possibility that when you go on with your life, and if you've had more tragic episodes or any traumatic incidences, there are chances that your energy might shrink. But with awareness, if you are able to expand your energies instead of shrinking them, you can keep these entities at bay and not let them affect you any longer. But if you find that difficult to do, I'm always here to help you. So this is how the entity release session works. If you have more questions or doubts, you're free to connect with me on my WhatsApp or even leave a comment below this video. I'll see you in our next session.